that has values, that allows me to give back to my community.
I want to work for a place that can connect me with local business leaders, successful business people that have had the same struggles and challenges that I'm going to have in the next couple of years to be able to grow professionally and personally.
I want to work for a company where I can be innovative, creative, problem solve.
I want to work for a company that gives me challenges, not just big ones, but small ones too.
I want to work where I can use the newest and latest technologies. These are things all millennials want.
Indiana is one of the top 5 states to produce college graduates. The problem with this is that we don't keep those graduates in our state. We are in the bottom 5. They graduate, go somewhere else. That's one of the big problems. And with technology growing rapidly, it is changing every single minute of every day. There are new inventions coming out. There are new things that companies have to do to keep up to date, to keep with technological changes. This is in a variety of fields, even in education. Even if you just do networking, and even if you own a t-shirt making shop, you need technology. Every single business has to keep up to date with everything going on. And according to the U.S. Department of Commerce, software engineer demand is growing at a 34% rate, and this is supposed to increase up until 2018. This means there is a high demand for software engineers, and they need to be, grown. We need to help create them so these businesses can develop, so they can advance. So let's think about, what company do you work for now? Let's think about which one did you work in the past. Think about, get these in your mind. Now, did that company use technology to its fullest? Did you rapidly advance? Or were you just a company that sat along the side? Oh, I guess there's some new social media coming out. We'll just, skip that one. Or did your company use the newest databases? Did they use the newest software to get their products online and do e-commerce? Did they keep up with the newest social media and become advanced in their market?
So what we're talking about here is we realize that there's a significant need for this technology backbone for most businesses. Not only the technology industry growing as a whole, but for each of your businesses sitting here, whatever you're involved with, technology is playing a really big part of what you do. Whether it's in research and development, or communicating with your customers, or having your customers communicate with each other, or simply selling your physical good that you used to do through direct sales or whatever distribution mechanism for you to be able to sell it online. The problem is that more often than not, these computer science engineers are going out to Silicon Valley and places like New York and exiting, leaving the Midwest with a hole of technological innovation. So what we're proposing is Backbone, and there's 3 parts that we want to talk about. Really, it's one business that has kind of 3 faces or 3 facets of it. The first one is really the bread and butter. This is really what we're about, which is professional services. Most Indiana businesses could actually use a lot of help with technology. Ross, we were talking about last month that we were thinking about building a website that could actually sell t-shirts for groups kind of by itself, selling these things online already. So what we would do is we would encourage education, so colleges and universities, the ones represented here, we would encourage them to spring up computer science majors, and by guaranteeing them a paid internship and then guaranteeing them a paid job after school. And so we would start kind of fostering this, encouraging these computer science majors to develop, and doing that, we would bring them to our physical location in the summer and actually contract those out to businesses in Indiana that need help. There's a lot of businesses that I know in Indianapolis and other areas that have literally hundreds of open development positions. So what we would say is, listen, we have 50 developers here that you can use, and you can just pay us for professional services. So this is the bread and butter of our business. The second part is this think tank incubator. Now, I know that talking with some of the other groups, there's probably a lot of incubator type concepts that we've seen. And the issue is that most of us entrepreneurs think of awesome ideas and awesome things that we could sell, new social networks, new inventory management systems, new databases, new mobile apps that could change the world, but none of us actually have the resources and the technology know-how or access to the technology know-how to actually build these. So by building this technological foundation through professional services, we could actually have a think tank Friday where we don't allow anybody to work on client work, and we bring local business leaders that say, we have this problem in my industry or in my business. If you could solve this issue, I would be happy to pay you this X amount. And so we get entrepreneurs, we get marketers, we get designers, and we get this foundation of technology to actually build this. And so furthering the competitiveness of local businesses and training and giving meaningful internship experience to our our employees and interns. The third part is really the important part for us, which is more than a salary, more than a high salary for us millennials and Generation X, and more than being at a big corporation like GM or GE that used to be kind of like what you wanted to get to. We want meaning in our work, and we want to grow in our profession. And so this mentorship would become, the interns would intern as soon as they graduate, they become kind of the software managers, making sure that the interns are making quality code and quality products, and then local business leaders could come alongside and guide the conversation of these entrepreneurship endeavors and say, really, this is a cool idea, but how do we commercialize this?
So what value does this offer? Our value proposition is to regenerate the community. Right now, we've located a spot in Muncie, downtown Muncie, which is East Central Indiana, and that's where we want to rejuvenate. The city is depressed. It needs something to come in and offer new intelligence and new economy burst, an economic burst. So our goal is to bring employers there, bring interns there, and then that creates a demand for lots of other businesses in downtown. The second thing is technological problem solving. There's lots of companies that have problems they don't know how to solve. Right now in Indiana, the top car seller, they don't know how to find their cars. There's sometimes where they'll drive around from retail shop or from shop to shop, and their car's already been sold, and they've wasted 30 minutes of their day looking around. With this incubator business, we can develop a program that they can use their mobile phones, and they can locate the car that they're searching for. They can locate if it's been sold or hasn't been sold, and what amenities they need and where to find it. So there are lots of technological problems that need to be solved, and we have not only the interns to do that, but also the employers to do that. We also have new venture creation, which we heard just mentioned a little bit, with Fridays being kind of an open day to come in and bring new ideas. We also have a business model that says 20% of your time will be spent on new ideas during your business week. So our employees are thinking of new creative ways to build businesses. And then we have local colleges like Anderson University, Huntington, Ball State, all that are here represented that can come right down 69 and say, hey, look, we've got these great business ideas. How can you help us figure out how to do this electronically? There's so many opportunities that I've seen at Anderson where students have had great ideas for websites that just get shoved underneath the table because there's not the developers there to create them. We have Pinterest, Facebook, and lots of social media sites that have sprung up over these last couple of years and are really taking over the market. And there's other ideas out there from our local communities that are needing to be built and needing to be financed. And we would have the resources and the developers to do that for them, and then take a bit of equity from that, but at the same time help create that job. Feasibility. We have two kind of models that we're looking at, with the fellowship model being more on the mentoring and training, and the company co-ops. Exact Target and Interactive Intelligences are two companies downtown Indianapolis that need software developers, and they're looking for good quality developers. And if we're training undergraduates in our internship programs with high-level developers, they're getting that experience and they can go there, but at the same time, we're going to keep the top 10 out of our internship program. So we have the top 10 staying with us, but we have the ability to basically outsource them to companies in downtown Indy as interns. The incubator factor is the startup ventures again, with the entrepreneurs that are coming in and with the CEOs that have their problems that they need solved. So we have a creative environment that we can help solve those problems.
Now, a little bit about the financial feasibility. I'm just going to give you a little overview about it. Now, our expenses, we're going to have startup expenses, such as building costs, administrative expenses, operating expenses, things like that. And we've done some research in downtown Muncie, and there are buildings around that need renovated, that need gutted and just rejuvenated for the community. And these would provide us a low-cost way to get a location and still be able to make the repairs that we want, to make the changes that we want within the facility. Now, as to our profit stream, our revenue stream, we will do this through two ways: professional services and equity from ideas that come out of our think tank. A little bit on the professional services, how we would do this is by hiring interns. What we would do is pay our charge companies $75 an hour for their services. This would create a $45 gross profit per hour per intern for us. If we did this with 20 interns over a 40-hour week over the summer, this would create about 800 billable hours per week. Now, we understand that, we're a new company, we're not going to fill all those hours right away. So we take about 60% of a fill rate, which is below the industry standard, which creates about 480 billable hours. This translates into $21,600 in gross profit over the week. This would translate into $259,200 over the summer. Now, we would also offer year-long internships. These interns would work only 10 hours a week, but work for us the whole year. These interns would produce $2,700 of weekly gross profit, which would translate into $135,000 for yearly revenue. Now, the total for this first year would be $394,200. And while yes, we will have our startup expenses to subtract from that yet, it's still, this business is creating revenue its first year.
Right. So we have seen that our venture is feasible. The question is, what does Backbone Digital provide? What is its impact? Well, our impact relies on our overarching goal. We want to retain college graduates in East Central Indiana, and we plan to do that by offering 3 value propositions. First is community regeneration. When we move into a community, as we mentioned perhaps in downtown Muncie, we need to install a facility, renovate a building, and when we do that, that increases the value of the land there, providing a larger tax base, and improving the real estate value, not only of our property, but of the surrounding properties. It improves the community like that. And because of our interns, which will need things like coffee shops, convenience stores, supporting businesses are attracted, further improving the area. This is community regeneration. In addition to that, we will be solving technology problems. We're going to equip local businesses, providing for their software needs so they can compete globally, so they can be more effective than they currently are. And in addition to that, we'll be training locals. We'll be training local talent, allowing those who are in college, graduating from Indiana now, to develop their skills and provide them the motivation to stay right here. After solving technology problems, we're also going to get involved in new local venture creation. As we mentioned, this has unlimited potential because not only does technology have a lot of innovation that needs to be done now, but as technology continues to advance, businesses will continually need to innovate, continually need to adopt to keep up. There's no working ourselves out of a job. It keeps going and going. But in addition to the time scale, there's the geographic scale. Thanks to the internet, people can work from Indiana, East Central Indiana, and take on problems from businesses all over the world. Now, in addition to the problems we solve, we allow new local venture creation because we as a company encourage our employees to start new ventures. We mentioned Think Tank Friday, where we brainstorm ideas. As Backbone Digital, we will take the best ideas and offer consulting, software, financial resources in order to improve it and make them a reality. We as a company, because it's done our company time, will maintain an equity in whatever ventures come out. And because of the software and assistance we provide, they have an unimaginable opportunity for success not available to many people who don't have the connections that our people would have. Now, besides the unlimited potential, there's the organic job creation. It's organic. It lives. It keeps going. When you make one job, it doesn't stop there. When you make one business, there's a number of jobs created. And as more and more businesses are created, you can imagine from our chart, if you imagine 20 in 5 years, it doesn't stop at 20. It doesn't stop at our people. Other people come in because the value is increasing. They see it. And so these are the 3 value propositions that we offer. So in summary, you might ask, what does Backbone Digital provide?
It allows me to work for a company that has values and allows me to give back to my community.
It allows me to have professional development and mentoring from local area business people.
It challenges me to work on new ideas and new innovations.
It allows me to be innovative and create new ideas.
It allows us to work with the newest, most innovative technology. These are things that will get current college graduates excited about working in East Central Indiana. Thank you for your time. summary, we hope you'll remember us by.
Why not a t-shirt?
That's right.
Honey,
We want a t-shirt, guys.
Place to order online.
Yeah.
So at this point, we'd love to open the floor for questions.
One question I had, you talked about 20 interns, correct?
Sure.
What are your, in addition to your 20 interns, what other human resources might you need to run back on digital?
Yeah, we definitely need a CEO to kind of do this, and so it's somebody that's interested in startups and doing that kind of work and has previous experience running professional service organizations. So they would come, and part of their incentive package would be part of the equity that they help create in Think Tank Thursday. So they're not only getting a salary, but they're getting a piece of the action if any of these companies actually succeed. You definitely need a CFO to check the quality of the code and the programming, because we do have interns, right? So these companies want to make sure that we're creating scalable systems that are not going to break, next weekend if there's a whole bunch of people that go to it. And then you definitely need kind of a marketing intern, a design intern, accounting intern, kind of one intern in each discipline that can say, here's an idea, we can build it, but then a marketing major to say, how do we get the word out there? A sales major that can say, how do we actually sell it? How do we make it look good? And that whole kind of thing. So we definitely, more than developers, we need other disciplines
Yeah,
as
it
well.
seems like you need a lot of coordination to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
But it's a great concept. So built into your revenue stream is, are you taking into account your CFO, your CEO, your marketing people? I mean, because if I recall, what was it, 250, 300,000
Yeah,
or
so
something?
that's without administrative and wages and startup expenses. That was just simply like the gross profit of what's
Your
our
interns.
like billable hours
Yes.
cost us and what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we definitely, that is not profit, like those 300 and whatever is not net profit. From there, we need to take out the CEO salary,
That's
the
where
other
I'm going.
interns.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely need support people because a business doesn't have all billable hours, right?
Great, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you. It looks like you're going to be more heavily staffed in the summertime than during the year. And how do you plan to float the whole business then throughout the year with that model?
Well, there's several colleges around. With Ball State right down the street, we're hoping to keep interns throughout the year on a 10-hour basis so that we do still have the intern opportunity there. And then we also have the employee ventures that we're hoping are think tank and bringing in CEOs that are having problems or businesses that need solutions. We'll take money for those solutions.
And so the first year, we'd have only probably projects that we could tackle in a few months, and then we could use our full-time people to maintain, right? And then as we grow, we don't just want to be an intern coordinator. We want to actually hire these developers after they've been through 2 or 3 years of our program. We want to hire them all full-time so that we can take bigger projects and be able to, have development bandwidth for all these clients throughout the year. So it would be more of a shift to where it'd be summer heavy at first, and then as they start graduating, we become more evenly spread. And then there's more mentorship and that whole thing. That's a good question, though.
What about the $30 an hour piece? Where did you come up with that amount
Sure.
to pay them? Is that competitive? Do you know?
Yeah.
It is at Exact Target. They start at 20 for internships, and to start, I think in Indiana is around 60,000 for starting developer salary. Out west, it's more like 100,000 when you have cost of living stuff that you got to account for there. But we just wanted to be kind of really competitive to attract the best talent. Because basically, what we're saying, if you count 40 hours a week times 30 hours, we're saying we're guaranteeing if you can learn these coding languages, we're guaranteeing you $15,000 every summer if you were a computer science major. Because that's what 3 months working 40 hours a week at $30 an hour. So that's how we're going to really get these graduates and these high schoolers to say, I need to be in computer science. I have a guaranteed $15,000 summer job that I want to start doing.
So do you plan on working directly then with the universities? I assume you're going to work directly with Ball State for sure because you're in Muncie. But you plan on working with them to kind of vet then some of the folks that they're bringing into those programs? Is that the hope?
Definitely, one of the institutions that I talked to, one of my friends from Exact Target, and they get a lot from Rose-Hulman Institute. So obviously that's far away for a full year internship, but for a summer internship, we're looking to pull more from the entire Indiana community. And then for 20 graduates, which isn't a lot, and obviously that's not each one of them is specified in development, but you have some that can come from Anderson, some that can come from AU or Ball State, and all the other places around that we come from during the year.
With Muncie as the location, it's admirable to regenerate that neighborhood. Is there an ROI there in doing that? And also, do you think it would be better served to be closer to your customers?
The way development works these days, I have for my business I have 3 developers that work for me. 2 of them I've never met, and they're in Montana, and they actually do better than the ones that I interact with every day at school. With the way development works, there's so many online collaboration tools that they love just being able to work. I mean, most companies, if you ask them where their developers are, they say that the best developers, how their condition for working at that place is that they get to go to France and work for 3 months there, because all they need is a computer and internet and a task of things to do, and they check in the code, and then the supervisor checks it. And so really, being in Muncie gives us an advantage because it's low cost of living, it's low overhead for us, low operating expenses. In Muncie, probably city government would probably facilitate some real estate deals and some down payment type stuff. And so really, if it works from anywhere, then why not go to the cheapest place to actually have your operations there and kind of get the biggest margin, biggest bang for your buck kind of thing. It's going to be remotely anyway,
Couple questions. Did you say Exact Digital is kind of a model that you're working off of?
Exact Target?
Exact Target. Okay.
No, Exact Target is a company that we would try and cooperate with for our interns. So if we have interns in-house, that we can hire out to them, and then they can work for Exact Target. Exact Target can pay us, and then we'll pay our interns through that. Our business model was more based off of Google for their innovation. They'd spend 20% of their time thinking of new ideas, creating new ideas, and then they have the rest of their time to work on their specific projects.
Could you review with me the 3-prong business model? I know you have internships, I know you have innovation, equity stake there. What's the third one?
It's mentorship. It really is like one fork, really. It's professional services. What we started thinking, like Brainstorm got an incubator, right? And kind of the issue that we came up against is that lack of development and lack of self-funding, right? Because you gotta get grants, and then you're hoping that 1 out of your 100 businesses, you gotta hope that one of them actually succeeds. And startup fail rate is really, really high. So that's a kind of a shady thing to kind of base your entire business on. So we say, how can we get like a basis of business that's actually profitable, and then from there give them some time. Like Google makes 97% of their revenues from advertising, and then they say how we actually innovate. We have a business model that works, a profit base, and then you wouldn't never say that Google's an incubator. They just simply use 20% of their time. How they have the resources, the developers, that whole kind of thing.
Which we're trying to supply through our business.
The one last question I have is maybe because I'm not thinking big enough. $75 an hour for a college intern seems like a lot. That would be the equivalent of $150,000 annual salary for that individual. Maybe I'm wrong. That just seems like that would be hard to place those interns at that kind of rate.
It's more based on from a consulting approach. So a company says we need this project done, and we say it's going to be this many hours times this rate. So we're not really giving our interns away. We're managing the actual consulting projects. And so, for example, the standard going rate for iOS developers right now is $125 an hour, and that's actually what a freelancer gets paid is $125 an hour average. So by giving them a $75 professional services hour fee, that includes not only the billable hours but the project management, the strategic direction, and all that kind of thing. And like most consulting places have 200, almost sometimes 250. Like Exact Target for professional services, like they do email marketing. You can buy their product, but if you want them to do their templates and you want like other additional stuff to do, like for them to customize a solution for you, they are at $250 an hour for professional services. This is they deal with enterprise customers, and that's what the standard is for them to pay. So they're actually from our end, from our perspective, $75 mistakes that we're gonna make.
And with our development and our mentoring and training program, that's going to be our key strength right off the bat, is the iOS development and teaching our interns those codes through the mentoring process and the training process. Because right now, most of the schools around this area don't have those programs. AU is currently looking into starting up an iOS development program, or just a simple class, just one class on it. And it's had to go through a lot of work. And right now, we have, I think, 2 students that are currently working at it, but our teachers learning alongside them as they're going through the process.
You mentioned that you actually supervise 2 consultants in Montana.
Sure.
In what capacity do you do that?
In what capacity? So
Yeah.
so I own a small mobile business. So we do mobile apps for businesses. So we doing deals there, and my struggle is to find. I would love to pay $75 an hour. I would fill 20 hours a week of work. I've actually had to stop selling to keep up with the development bandwidth that I have. But if we could actually organize this, like I would be one of the first ones to sign up my tiny little local business to use some of that development bandwidth. So that's kind of, is that what you're asking? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you envision using remote experienced developers along with interns?
Definitely, I think we probably want to. I think if we want really good supervisors that can train these developers, and the best ones are going to be probably somewhere else, and so they can come in from wherever. They could be based here. It's kind of up to them, but we could definitely do that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Would your interns have the direct client contact, or would there be like more of a full-time employee that would be sort of client manager?
Sure.
I'm just curious what your structure would be.
Yeah. So just traditionally, developers they want a layer between the client and their everything. If something doesn't work, they want that person, that account manager, that client relationship manager that's in between there. And that's when we would probably hire an experienced account manager for $60K or something like that just simply manages clients' expectations and then can communicate to the interns and say, so that would be one of like our CEO, CTO, one of those people that would manage the accounts and keep the developers from the wrath of the, the client when things don't work.
When even from a customer standpoint,
Sure.
they kind of like continuity too.
Exactly.
That would also help.
And Ball State has a program, the CICS program, which I'm actually looking into it, which is more focused on communicating the digital world to business. So it would be a great spot and location to pull from for employees that could be that communication, that could be that intermediary person to stand in between.
So, well, let me ask you, you're doing a lot of good things. You're doing a lot of good things for Indiana. You're retaining students. You're helping an underperforming community. How would you incorporate all that in your marketing?
Okay. I think one thing, so in Ohio, right, it's fairly similar demographic and type of industries, but it seems that Ohio has this like Ohio like pride, and I think there has been historically been this Hoosier Indiana pride, and I think that that's something we could definitely capitalize on. That this is something that Indiana businesses and Hoosier businesses could actually rally behind and help support, and say this is a high-tech innovation. These are our students. These are our homegrown Hoosiers that are actually, running the show. It's support your kind of state with these high tech. This is what's going to propel Indiana into the 21st century. I mean, we're knowledge workers these days, right? We're based on technology. All the growth in our economy is not so much like the manufacturing side, and it's moving to the service jobs. And we're saying this is an example of the type of business that can turn communities around and that can make Indiana a much better place to do business, a much more attractive state for us to be excited about. I mean, we really have said, like, what would we be really excited about doing? And then that's what our filter was for all this. Like, also that high-tech kind of aspect would be a really good way to make our marketing pitch.
And the other nice thing is that Muncie area is very close to Indianapolis. It's about an hour drive to Indianapolis, so there's the close, it's a big city feel, but you also have the home family area of this region. My parents just moved to Anderson this summer, and I love having them close, and I love the environment of the Anderson city. It's a home feel. You kind of know most of the people in the town, and so that's something that's central to this area. It's very much family-based, and then we also have, Fishers is developing. It's one of the quickest developing cities in the nation, and it's 10 minutes down the road, or 20 minutes down the road from the same area. So we have the market